So here on Juxtaposed today, we are going to have something a little different. We're going to play a game. Most people are familiar with this game. It's rock, paper, scissors. We are playing rock, paper, scissors to decide who goes first to play the love language game. And then the game is, hey, whoever goes first gets to pick the love language that means the most to them. And once you pick that love language, it can no longer be picked within that first round. We're going to say 1, 2, 3, go. All right, you ready, Aaron? Ready, Styles? All right. 1, 2, 3.
Today, we take on the age-old question, what is more important, love or loyalty? Is there a difference between the two? Either way, we're going to try to tackle this very complicated conversation here. Today, I have my co-host, as always, MVP. We have Aaron from Pour Over Finance again joining us. Incredible Reviews.
What's your name?
My name is Jeff.
Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
KStylez. But yeah, my brain power is already processing how we take on this complicated situation. So I'm gonna throw it over to MVP to kick us off, and then we'll just see where the roller coaster goes.
All right. So here on Juxtaposed today, we are going to have something a little different. We're going to play a game. Most people are familiar with this game. It's rock, paper, scissors. I'm not going to explain what rock, paper, scissors is. Do your Googles. All right. So
why are we playing rock, paper, scissors?
We are playing rock, paper, scissors to decide who goes first to play the love language game. All right. This is something I just made up, so bear with me.
Okay.
We have the love languages, which if you don't know what love languages are, do your Googles.
I mean, I think we could do them a favor and put them
do a favor?
Yeah. We will put it in the clip, in the description.
I'm going to read them off anyway.
Yeah.
But we're going to decide who goes first. And then the game is, hey, whoever goes first gets to pick the love language that means the most to them, right? And once you pick that love language, it can no longer be picked within that first round. And it just goes around with however many people you have. I recommend 3 to 5. Cool. So let's do the rock, paper, scissors, and then I'll read off the love language. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah.
The pick who goes first. Aaron, do you want me to read off the love languages first? Just so a refresh, or what you want to do?
Yeah, sure. Go for it. It'll help the audience as well.
Okay, bet. So the 5 love languages: 1, words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch, acts of service, and receiving gifts. Love language recap. All right. So get your Twitter fingers ready.
It's X.
It's X. What?
It's no longer Twitter.
Twitter doesn't exist now. It's called X.
It's X.
Get your X fingers ready. That sounds completely off the rails.
That don't hit like it used to. Okay. All right. So y'all ready? And what we're gonna do? We're gonna go on. We're gonna say 1, 2, 3, go. All right. You ready, Aaron? Ready, Styles? All right. 1, 2, 3, go. Hold it up. So
I'm out.
Kyle. Oh,
he has scissors.
But
it's you.
So you won. Yeah, you won.
It's you.
I won?
Yeah, because scissors beats paper, and then rock
beats scissors.
And I would be the one to win.
Yep. So
it's my game.
Not rigged at all. Go ahead.
It's not. This was just real. This was live. Okay, y'all. Nothing was planned. All right. So I like this. Now I get to pick mine. See, and this is the part of the game because I'm like, as more choices are made, you might not really be the most important one to you, but that's the only choice that's left. So you got to pick one, right? So, I won, so I gotta soak it up. So the choice I pick for the love language that means the most to me, I'm going to say quality time. If that was one of y'all's, so sad. Too bad.
Thi-
All right.
This is why referees don't play the game, right?
Damn.
So I'm gonna move that one. Who was I think Aaron beat you. All right. So Aaron, you get to choose from words of affirmation, physical touch, acts of service, and receiving gifts. Which one do you choose?
Wow. A question for you. Is this your love language in terms of how you project or how you receive?
That's a good question.
Dang, I think let's go with how you receive. Because I think that's how,
How I
think.
receive.
You know, like for me, quality time means the most to me. That's how I like getting love, right? So how do you like getting love? Words of affirmation, physical touch, acts of service, receiving gifts.
I think words of affirmation, maybe.
All right. Aaron is down for words of affirmation. Styles, you have physical touch, acts of service, and receiving gifts.
Well, since my first one was picked already,
I figured
uh,
that's the part
probably
of it.
either acts of service or acts of service. Let's go with acts of service.
Service.
If you weren't squeezed into receiving acts of service, what would
Quality
it
time.
have been?
Yeah, quality time is
okay.
my thing. Like, that's a big deal for me.
So we got Styles.
Where you like to spend quality time cuddling and stuff.
I mean, if the moment is appropriate, why not?
Well, I heard a little tang at the end of that tone of yours.
He tried to.
What's wrong with cuddling?
He tried to drink
Listen.
me just now. That's all.
I laugh about virtually everything. There are things that I should not be laughing
Yes,
about
I've
that I
seen it.
laugh about. I have a problem. So in saying that, yeah, you might have heard that, but the reality is just that I'm extremely immature.
I wouldn't go that far.
I am, and I accept that.
So
That's we were just having the conversation about you being the problem. I can be immature, in certain things. I like to laugh at stuff.
Okay.
So we'll ask you the same question. Was words of affirmation your the actual true one to your heart, or
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
so you want people to tell you like you did good? You see, you don't like it when it happened to you, do you? Huh? You don't like it, do
you know, it's kind of funny because I don't know what I chose that because I had to choose something, but I don't know what I would like. I know what I would do in terms of my projection, but in terms of receiving, that's a tough one, and that's probably a different conversation for a different day because when you were raised not receiving love, how do you know what to receive as your language that tells you you're being loved? You know what I mean? It's weird, but
We
I
starting
never
off
received that from like parents or anything like that. So I don't really have this person does XYZ. I feel love. That's not.
Yeah, but
It
I think at a certain point, and you've probably done this unknowingly, but you do have certain things that you look for, and that's how you ended up choosing the partner you chose, right? Like those are and I think the compatibility there also would align to the things that the love languages is like a very I feel like somewhat superficial, like top level thing, but we don't get that deep into what that means from a compatibility standpoint. But I do think it does dictate how you choose your partner. So that's my little rant.
No, I mean I think that's good. Because to be honest with you, the love language part is what helped me a little bit understand what I like. Because like I didn't really like to go back to I've gotten love like from family and stuff like that, but I never like really dived into what love is. So we can even start there before we decide what's more important to
Well,
us.
since love and loyalty is
Yeah.
the discussion.
Yeah.
Well, I was questioning do we have a loyalty test? Because if you don't have a loyalty test, like a loyalty game, then
I don't know what
I'm
a
joking.
like
I'm joking.
right. I didn't get that far. I didn't get that far in my head. But no, like so okay.
What is love?
What is love, right? So I think love is sacrifice. Hear me out.
Please.
I'll give something a little extreme If you're in a situation where your kids are in danger and to save your kids, you might have to risk your life and you don't even give it a second thought and you risk your life to save your kid, I think that is love.
Okay.
Sacrifice, right?
Okay. I feel like that's like a, like the Super Bowl of events, right?
I
Like
took the easy way out.
yeah, what about like day to day, right? Like, because that's the thing. Like the day to day is where you would probably see those kind of moments. So
Okay, let me give you another one. I would say love is doing things for someone else that you don't want to do.
I think that falls under
yeah,
sacrifice.
that does fall on sacrifice.
But it's not,
That's day to day stuff.
yeah, that's dated. That's
Yeah.
not like a,
But when you
You ain't
say
giving
that's
the arm
day to
and
day
leg.
stuff, isn't love a day to day thing?
It is, but I feel like when you go to the extreme of like, well, I'll take a bullet for you, I'll jump on a grenade for you, like that's like the extreme stuff. Like that's
Which is still sacrifice.
it is sacrifice, but it's just not the daily sacrifice. That's why I was putting that, little container around his explanation.
so yeah, so I'm sticking with sacrifice, but I would
I
say
like it.
that would be like the lower end of sacrifice. Doing some things that you personally do not want to do, but out of love, you're gonna do it for that person without any complaints. Boom. Who's next? Aaron, Styles, who wanna go?
I mean, to be honest with you, I hate to steal your answer, but I agree. Sacrifice, selflessness, any of those things that put one thing before you, I see that as unless it's something that's duty, like for instance your work. You do a lot of sacrificing for your job because
Yeah.
that's your work. But outside of duty, I will say something that has literally no real selfishness associated with it, but you're willing to sacrifice for it is probably the best way to define love. Because if I were to think of myself, there's a lot of things that I sacrifice in order to make sure that the people that I love are good. And I literally am expecting nothing in return, even in situations where I know nothing can be offered to me in return. I'm still showing up, putting myself second. So I hate to steal your answer, but it's probably the best definition of love I've ever heard anyone give in all the years I've been alive.
Well, I'm gonna give you part of your answer for you is the not expecting something in return.
Which is what I just said. In
No, that's what I'm
situations,
saying. That part of your answer, that's your answer.
Yeah. yeah,
because
no, I
because
agree
there's
with it.
sacrifice, and I don't know. You might sacrifice expecting something back,
Right.
but I think what you just said is a different perspective of, hey, I'm not expecting anything in return for my love to you.
Right. And there are certain situations where even if you were to be expecting something and they truly cannot, like you think of things that you may do for your parents that puts you in a position of sacrifice. What can they really do to repay you? So yeah, I like it. I'm gonna have to unfortunately jump aboard, but I love that answer.
All right,
Yeah, I mean,
Styles.
I think love for me is also like empathy and understanding, but then that kind of a sacrifice really does sum it up perfectly, because I think even being able to take on somebody's uh feelings and know what they're going through and be empathetic is a form of, like sacrifice in my mind, because you're literally removing oneself and putting yourself in the shoes of somebody else. So
Yeah.
you hit the nail on the head there, bro.
Dude, he
Wonderful.
killed that,
He
man.
clearly
I've
was doing
never
some
heard
research. She's prepared.
I've never heard it defined so well in my life.
I'm ready to cook.
Never did I expect to come on to Juxtapose and have, well, I shouldn't say that because then I'm reducing what we do here because what we do is great. But I didn't walk into this conversation expecting to, in this moment on the 21st of October,
Damn.
2023, to finally hear someone actually be able to give me a true definition of what love is. So thank you
Hmm,
for that.
okay, cool. I like it. Now, let's get into loyalty. Who now?
Mm.
What is loyalty to you? And you know who I'm gonna go with first? Styles. Well, I wasn't even looking at him too, so he'd be thrown off. What is
Um,
loyalty?
I mean, I feel like loyalty is the idea that, like, if we embark on something together, that we are doing it together, and I expect that you would respect my position in whatever it is, right? Like,
Okay.
um, so like if you think in a relationship, the from a loyalty standpoint, you expect that your person's not gonna do stuff to make you look crazy and look like Will Smith, right? You expect
Where's the loyalty?
you would no, you would expect. Now, granted, we don't know the specifics there because that could have been a plan that they came up with together and said, "Hey, you have this thing, whatever you need to do to promote it, I'll support." But like, I would hope my significant other doesn't do that. I would hope my friends don't do it. Like, and I don't expect anything. Like I said, I don't expect that. But like at the same time, it's like I would hope that that's what loyalty is to me. I'm like, okay, if you're loyalty to me, then you're loyal to me, then I expect it's such a.
It would be nice. It would be
I would
nice.
hope.
Right. You would hope.
I would hope that you would consider my position in this, whatever it is. So
Okay. Aaron, you're next.
My definition of loyalty would be no matter what we're going through, no matter what situations we encounter, you've got my back. I think of like a dog. No matter what is going on, that dog has got your back. I've seen videos of people being attacked by a bear, and the dog had that very small animal in comparison to a bear, but he was there holding his owner down. That to me is loyalty. No matter what happens, I'm not turning my back on you. I'm right there by your side fighting for you. That's loyalty.
Okay. Okay. So for me, I would say loyalty is doing right by me. Let me elaborate.
okay,
It's doing the right thing. So, for example, if we out and some stuff goes down, even if I'm wrong, the loyal thing to do is make sure we are protected, right? And when I say we, whoever the group is, right? We go out, something goes down, I might be wrong. But the loyal part is, hey, you should have, like Aaron was saying, my back, but I want to be specific with like doing the right thing by me. Like, hey, have my back out there. When we go back home or whatever, we can have the conversation like, yo, MVP, you're wrong. But the loyalty is, hey, when we out, like, loyalty is like, I should be able to feel like when we are together, it's us versus the world. That's loyalty. We are like, when we out here in these streets, baby, we are moving correctly.
and this is expected from friends or significant others, or what is your?
This is across, I don't care if we, and this is, I'll even say to a certain extent, if you are a part of the group and I don't even know you, there's still a level of protection I have. Because whatever
Right.
you do reflects the group.
Yeah, because I think loyalty is somewhat of a universal. It's a universal thing,
Mhm.
regardless of who you're talking about. Loyalty is loyalty. Expectation, that's a whole other category that's outside of loyalty.
Right. Like, and we can dive a little bit deep into it with the loyalty. I think we won't really have to, but we will really have to dive into the loyalty part. But just to start it off, I'm like, hey, just do the right thing as a loyal person. Because even I don't think you like I don't think you questioning things is a disloyal thing either, right? So like, hey, yo, you shouldn't do this. hey, MVP Aaron Styles, you shouldn't do this. And I'm like, bro, I thought you was loyal. I'm like, yo, me disagreeing with you is not disloyal, right? Because the right thing to do would be to tell you, hey, you're wrong. So and this can be even like if I'm in the studio and my raps are trash, the disloyal thing to do would be like, yo, MVP, that was fire. That's disloyal. Because I expect you to do right by me. And the right thing would not be to put out trash.
That took a turn. That took a turn that I didn't expect.
And I'm wondering if I define it the same way,
I know.
because having your back and I don't know, like not wanting to hurt your feelings. I feel I don't know if they're the same thing.
Well,
because I could be loyal to you and not want to hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
Especially if you're truly passionate about something and I'm just like, yo, this is trash.
Obviously, you're not going to come out and say, yo, Aaron, that was trash. You're not going to say that.
I mean,
but,
I would.
Right. But here's where the lack of loyalty.
You wouldn't word it like that.
I was like, yeah.
You me and you've had conversations. I know for a fact.
Yeah,
you would not word it like that.
I feel like Aaron would, though.
What?
You would be like, that's trash.
I don't know about that.
You
if it's someone,
the way he did Drake in that that review.
If it's someone he knows, though.
Okay, so he ain't loyal to Drake.
No, of course not.
Okay.
Of course not. But I do believe if it's someone that I like or love, I would try to deliver the message without crushing their feelings, because there's levels to this, right? You could tell someone, you know what, nah, this ain't it, or you could just go in with the expectation that that it's going to hurt that person's feelings. There's ways of doing things, you can tell someone that something isn't good without completely just destroying that person's ability to have some confidence in their ability.
Yeah.
And I would say that's the key. There's levels to this, right? And I'm like, I know people who won't say anything and just let people put out mediocre stuff. And I would be like, it's almost one of those things. It's like, yo, why you ain't say nothing, bro? Like, oh man, I don't want to hurt your feelings. I'm like, but now the whole world is hurting my feelings.
Yeah, but then also some people don't feel qualified enough to have those conversations. Like I'm into music. I even with certain things, if somebody brought me like a, I was trying to remember the genre. You're like, no, Aaron was like, yeah, none of us would listen to.
What genre is that?
It's like forest, something florist. Like,
well, when we were most recently having the conversation, it was black metal. It was a subgenre of black metal that I was talking about.
Right. Okay. What was it called?
It was called suicidal. I can't remember the entire term now, but it basically is just like self-harm metal.
Now, even though I think I'm very versed in music, I don't think I would be able to have an opinion on somebody if they brought me that type of music. So I'm not going to be able to say, okay, well, MVP objectively, that is good or bad. I know what sounds good to me and what probably would sound good to other people because I've made music, but it doesn't mean that I can 100% give you an answer. And that doesn't mean that I'm being disloyal, but it also means that I just don't have the capabilities. And I think that honestly, if a lot of people thought about things that way, it'd be in a better place, because a lot of people are telling people like, oh yeah, this is good. And then they put it out and you're like, oh my God, why did you put this out? So,
because to go back off what you're saying, I think some people might view that as loyalty. Like, hey, I don't know much about this thing, but even though it sounds like weird to me as a loyal person, I'm just going to say, yeah, go with it. So there are different perspectives on that, right?
There is a lot of different perspectives on that, because I might think it's not the best, but I'm not going to tell you this is terrible to make you not put it out. Sometimes in doing things, well, not sometimes, it's the action of doing things that eventually lead you to become great at those things. If I start telling you this is not good, no good, don't put this out, how are you supposed to improve? You have to actually go through
Mm,
the process, and I want to see you get better. So I'm going to say, you know what? For where you are right now, this is good, but you should be trying to get better every time.
Yeah.
yeah, I can get that.
So the disloyalty comes in if I say to you, hey, this is good. And then I go to my other boy and I'm like, yo, he's putting out trash, man. Can't believe this. That's a lack of loyalty right there.
So what I would say is that
Sorry,
throwing.
we have our fourth guest.
We
Oh
have a
yeah,
loyal friend that has
for
joined the
people listening, yes, we
conversation.
have a fourth guest in the building. But I would say to go off what Aaron was saying, yeah, if you're throwing someone else under the bus, that's a disloyal thing, right? Like, especially smiling in their face and like in the background, you're like, yeah, they're not the best person or they're not the best at whatever they're doing. But then you tell them, hey, you're the best when you look at them in their face. So
Right.
I would say that's a disloyal thing.
Correct.
So we've talked about disloyalty.
Loyalty.
Oh, excuse me, loyalty. We've talked about loyalty and we've talked about love.
Hmm.
What is more important to you?
And is this where you begin, MVP, since you won the rock, paper,
There we
scissors?
go.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So I would say, to me, loyalty is more important
Then love.
than love. And we're not going to go into it yet. I just want to hear what y'all say. So my answer to the question is loyalty is more important to me than love. All right. Who wants to go next?
Well, I lost. So Aaron.
Okay.
Well, my opinion has not changed. When the topic was first broached, I said one does not exist without the other. And when I say one does not exist without the other, I mean without love, I don't have loyalty. And I kind of think maybe the other way around. So yeah, that's my answer. And there's degrees to this, you know, the love that I feel towards, for instance, a pet is not the same love that I feel towards my wife. So the level of sacrifice that I would have for a pet is going to be different from the sacrifice I have for my wife. So I cannot see one without the other. So for me, one is not more important than the other. I see them as a package deal. One cannot exist without the other in my own brain. And as we delve into the whys, I can further elaborate.
But just real quick, if I had your fingers in a vice
What?
and I
Okay.
said, "Hey, pick one," are you just no fingers no more? You just this is a wrap, or are you gonna pick?
I mean, if I'm forced to give an answer that is not reflective of my true feelings
Okay,
in
okay.
order to save my fingers, I'm
Yeah.
extremely loyal to my fingers. So I'm going to just say love. But
Okay.
I'd be lying to you.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. At this moment, because your fingers was in a vice, you had to make a game time decision.
I said love. Yeah.
I think we accept it. All right.
Yeah.
I also agree with Aaron, where they both can't exist. You can't have one without the other, but I would definitely choose love.
If your finger was in a vice.
Yes. Finger in a vice is a weird thing, but yes.
I didn't want to be. It's funny. I don't want to be super violent by saying put a gun to your head.
Yeah, let's leave guns out of this.
Fingers in a vice is fine.
Okay.
So I wanted to before we got into it, see if I could phone a friend. So let's see if this works. Awkward pause. Where
I'm about to say, is it ringing on your side?
it should be. We should be hearing it.
Let's see.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second. Hello? Oh, give me a second. I don't know why it's not working.
Let's see. So while we take a look at that, I'm gonna keep it running. I do understand what you're saying, Aaron, about you can't have one without the other.
Right.
But I do think that there are levels, because if that was the case, then I've seen people do things that are not considered loyal,
Mm-hmm.
but I know they still love me.
So
So
if you have an example, that would really help because that sounds very interesting and I'd like to get a little bit more information.
you ask the tough questions, don't you? So so
gotta hit the hard questions.
so I'm gonna see if I can pull one off the top of the head, right? So say if I think you know what? I'm gonna go with my response earlier. I've had people who I know love me throw me under the bus.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Now,
Please elaborate.
n- yeah, just give me a second. Give me a second. let me get it out first. So they've thrown me under the bus, but didn't know or realize that they were throwing me under the bus.
Okay.
It wasn't intentional, but in my mind, there was a lack of loyalty there.
Okay. So to that I say, if the individual is throwing you under the bus, but
Mhm.
it's not intentional, they didn't know that they were doing it, they made a mistake.
Mm.
And a lot of times, mistakes are made from the subconscious mind and not the conscious mind. So I personally would assume that it's not an act of disloyalty to make a mistake because a mistake is truly that, a mistake. It would be as if, and this is a very surface level example,
Yeah.
but it is an example nonetheless where a mistake could be made. If I were to see you walking and playing around, I decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to accelerate and then hit the brake right before I hit him, just playing around. But mistakenly, I didn't hit the brake soon enough and I hit you with my car. I don't I don't see that as a lack of loyalty because I truly did try to quote unquote run the bus over you. I made a mistake. I didn't do that purposely. So I don't know that I
The-
would
It's
put the two together.
I feel like we're throwing jabs at each other right now.
Mhm.
I rebuttal with some mistakes can get you hurt.
Of course. Of
So
course.
someone could say, "Hey, I didn't mean to X you out of this $10 million deal. My bad." And now I'm supposed to say, "Hey, you know what? You're still a loyal person. You just made the mistake to leave me out of the $10 million deal."
Nah, that person don't love you. I'm sorry.
No,
They don't
no, they're not
because
loyal. Because I'm not
well,
like this is a say it's a business deal,
This
which love doesn't have to be included in the business.
but this goes to Aaron's point that it can't exist without the other.
Yeah, I think the point I'm making is literally you can not love me, but be loyal and add me to the business deal. Even if I don't necessarily need to be a part of the business deal. So so you're saying, hey, I'm getting some extra money. Let it's not. Or you're saying out of love you're going to add MVP to the deal, or out
so
of loyalty you're going to add.
it really depends because if I'm adding you to a business deal
Mhm.
as a business partner, you're not someone that I know in my personal life,
Right.
then there's neither love nor loyalty. That's just business. If it's someone that
Mm.
I love, that I'm
Mm.
putting into a business, well, someone that I'm loyal to, that I'm putting into a certain position within a business, I got some kind of love for you because if I don't love you, there is no loyalty to you. Therefore, I don't feel any need to add you to anything.
So
And again, there's levels to this because I might have love for a friend or love for my wife or love for my mom. And the things that I'm willing to do for those people are going to be different across the board because I may feel more of a connection in terms of love, which changes my level of loyalty towards that individual in each position.
Okay, so I do want to get some of your thoughts, Styles, but I think we're going to have some fun with this because I think we're actually in a disagreement on something.
Oh, we are.
Because I think, and this is for me personally, I'm gonna get a little personal with y'all. I don't necessarily need to love you to be loyal. So I can, for example, I'm not going to say when I work for people, as in like a career, jobs, I don't love them. But there's certain things I'm not going to do out of loyalty to that job. Now, you might be like,
Is that loyalty or duty?
well, I do think that a level of loyalty includes duty. And thank you. That's why I'm saying I don't know if love is duty. Love is, I would say, is something that you, like we said, sacrifice you, or you just do it without having to expect anything. But loyalty, for sure, I expect the loyalty back. No question. I'm not giving, that's the difference between loyalty and love. I can give love and yeah, helping me with my case right now. I'm gonna give y'all time to talk, but love, I don't really expect that back because a lot of times, if not a lot of times, but sometimes you can love someone and they don't love you back, right? And you can still
sure.
love them even though they stated they don't love you. But I am not giving nobody loyalty if they say I ain't giving you no loyalty. That's dead. And then I drop the mic.
But how often does that come up in conversation?
Oh. Give me some of your input on some other stuff because you can't just go off of what I just said. Just no.
Of course I can.
Because
That's healthy
it's more
discourse.
me trying to explain my point, and I think I did a good job of explaining my point. So
Yeah.
I need y'all to rebuttal to me how what I just said does not make sense.
No, I didn't say it didn't make sense. I'm just
Okay.
asking you, how often have you heard someone say, I will not be loyal to you? That's my rebuttal.
No, I'm not letting you get that up. I'll answer that later.
Okay.
I'll answer that
All
later.
right.
No, not
I
answering.
won't forget.
I refuse.
I won't forget. But I think when you start talking about love and loyalty, it's a case by case situation that you have to be very aware of where you're at. And I think that's why a lot of people get caught up because they expect, love or loyalty from people that they should not. And then they get upset and then it creates a bunch of disappointment. So I feel like there's multiple areas where that should be very clear where and when. Like Aaron gave the example of his wife and his family and stuff like that, and then friends. And like even with every one of those different groups, there's a different expectation. I hate the word expectations clearly because like there's a different set of guidelines that should be applied for each one. So it's like, to use the work part, I don't think that there's love or loyalty at work. There's a paycheck. You're paying me for my services. And I'll do what I'm supposed to do for that services. Every time we add emotional stuff to that, that's how you end up in a place where you're like, oh, I'm disappointed. I should have gotten XYZ because I've been here so long, or I did this project that saved the company X amount of money. They should be loyal to me and promote me. And it's just, you understand, like it just creates this space of what I feel is like confusion because you're expecting that they would put the same amount of effort into something that you're doing, but they're paying you for that. And that's why, like, a lot of times I've gotten into conversations with people and they're like, well, you got your check, right? And I'm like, yeah, but the check is way less than what the market value is, but she's like, you got a check. And so that's why I'm like, we got to remove love and loyalty from that section.
So I hear you. I respect what you're saying. But I guess my thing is like when you're in that realm of the workplace, I'll give you a prime example of what I think is loyal and disloyal in that situation. they could pay you whatever they want to pay you, right? And you can say, hey, I'm gonna go in and do what I need to do. But there are people, same scenario, but don't do what they're supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think from a disloyalty standpoint, is dishonorable, maybe? Because it's like, hey, they pay, like, if you want to be so concrete with they paid me and I just go in there and get a check. I've known people to go in and not do anything, even though they're getting paid that check, which I think is a disloyal from the concept of like, hey, I think honor comes into loyalty. I think respect, doing the right thing comes into loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, hey, you're being disloyal if you have the mindset of like, hey, I'm not even going to do the bare minimum when I go into this job.
But I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna let Aaron speak. But
Okay.
like, I think we're clouding the situation by attaching things to situations that should not have that. Because your job, when you sign up, 9 times out of the 10 says you're at will. So if they decide that your services are no longer needed, they can terminate you.
Yeah.
And
Which
it doesn't matter.
loyalty doesn't involve
That's
that.
what I'm saying. It
Yes,
doesn't matter
yeah.
how much you do, because it could just be like, it could be a financial decision. They can't afford to pay you. You're getting fired, right? Or released or let go or whatever it is. Now, they can do things to help you with that. Like they'll give you severance and all that fun stuff and whatever. But there's not a loyalty factor there. And there's
Okay.
sure as hell not a love factor.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so that's what I'm
Definitely
saying.
not a love
I
factor.
feel like if we uncloud a lot of the stuff about whether or not someone is doing the bare minimum and the respect and all that honor, I think when you talk about business, you throw out a lot of that stuff. Now, when you're doing business as like entrepreneurs together, there's a certain level of respect and stuff that should be handled in each business thing, but it's still business. So even when people do unscrupulous things to people that they're doing business with, they can argue it's always business. It's not about loyalty. And I think that even extends into like street stuff, right? Like when there's this weird code of honor in the streets that if we're coming up together, da da da, but like it's a business, it's a illegal business, but it's a business. So you do what you got to do to make your profit, be where it is, and that's how it goes. So we cloud a lot of things with our human emotions because we're like, that's how we want to see the world, and that's generally, if you really look at it from brass tacks, not how we should do it. And I want to say that, not saying that I don't do it myself. It's a part of the human experience. It's the reason why people look at dogs and like, oh, my dog, your dog is sad. And like, the dog is probably need to take a shit. Like you know what I'm saying? There's not necessarily that human emotion that we're interpreting, but we do that in a lot of situations. Go ahead, Aaron.
All right, so there was a lot that said.
Lot was said.
The first thing that I want to touch upon is the work ethic aspect that MVP brought up. I think your work ethic is extremely exclusive aside from all of this, because that's one of those qualities that's kind of just ingrained in who you are. And I've heard people use the argument, if they paid me more, I'll do X, Y. I don't believe that. I am the same hard worker today making what I make as when I was making, like, literally my first job. I think I was making $5.15 an hour. There was no change in my dedication to the job back then as there is to my dedication to the job today. That's just ethic. Who I am is infallible. It could change, but it's just who I am. It's how I present myself. It's what I do. So now going into what MVP mentioned in terms of having loyalty and not love to the job, I'm more along the lines of what Styles was saying of it being duty. But the way I see it is like a multi-layered cake almost. So at the very top of the cake for me is love. In the middle of that cake is loyalty, and at the bottom is duty. the reason why I have the duty, the reason why I display the work ethic at the job is because I have loyalty towards the people that I love. If you remove the loyalty and the love, I'm not going hard for this job because at the end of the day, for me at least, I don't know why everyone else does it. The only reason why I even really care about my line of work is because there are people that I love and that I'm loyal to that I want to help in various aspects, whether it be friends, whether it be family. I want to improve their lives. My wife has student loans. I'd like to help her with that one day. My mom is not employed because she's retired. I'd like to be able to continue to financially assist. I have family in other parts of the world. If they happen to run into a financial issue, I'd like to be able to have the necessary resources, money, to help them out if there's the need for that. And all of that exists simply because I have loyalty and love for these people. So the duty towards the job only exists because of the love and loyalty that I have for the people. You remove those two aspects, and it's just me. I have zero loyalty to any job. It's all duty. And again, if you decided to pay me XYZ and another company showed up the next day and said, hey, you know what? We'll pay you this much more and we'll give you these many more benefits. Guess what? I'm out. Zero loyalty. Zero. None. Zilch.
Yeah. And that's
Doesn't
why
exist.
that's why I think we need to be very cautious or cognizant of the fact that when we talk about work, we should remove that. I think we need to dive into some experiences outside of work when we talk
Okay.
about loyalty and love, because that's where I feel like it gets a little bit stronger and easier to discern. Because like to Aaron's point, it's like, yeah, if another company comes up and they're paying you more and the perks are better,
I'm out.
it's gonna take a lot, like you then you just have to weigh, well, okay, are they making me come in 5 days a week? Do I have to work on weekends? Right? You start to have to weigh, and once you start weighing that, you're like, okay, cool. Well, if there's a loyalty factor? Because if you're loyal to your job, then you would just be like, it's like in your relationship, like if you're married to somebody, when you're loyal to that, you're married and loyal to that person, the hopes is that if another person comes up to you, I would assume that you would not engage in a way that's an issue or conflicts with your current relationship.
I really like that example
Yeah.
because in the example of the relationship and the work, if a job shows up with you know better perks, you're up and you're out of there. In a relationship, another female could show up and she could have a nicer body, or I don't know, if you're into that type of thing, she makes more money, or she might be a little bit nicer, or she might not have some of the traumas of the person that you're with. If you are loyal to that person because you love them, doesn't matter what that other person offers. I'm here and this is where I am, regardless of the fact that the perks are seemingly less over here than what I'm being offered.
Yeah.
So I really like that example.
And I think once you start getting to that, that's when you really see the loyalty and love part that is commingled. Because if you really care and you're not a scumbag, you're not going to go out there and cheat on your person or do like separate yourself from that. And now granted, we want a broad stroke over a relationship right there, right? Because there could have been other things that the relationship should have been ended, right? Or maybe whatever.
Well,
but
let's move into that.
Yeah.
So, because this is another reason why I say they're different, right? Because you're saying, hey, I love you. I'm in a relationship with you, but I cheated, which is disloyal without a question. Yes or no?
I can agree with that.
100%. It's
So-
lacking loyalty for
So
sure.
going back to my statement, which one is more important to you? Because that'll decide if you stay or not. It could
True.
help.
Very true.
Yeah.
And I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I've been waiting for this part. I didn't start off with my I don't start off with the ace of spades. You know what I'm saying? If you ever played cards, I bring you in a little bit. I'm saying if they're both the same equal level, how is it possible you love me, but you do the disloyal thing, which for a fact, no one is going to question that cheating on someone is 100% disloyal.
Yeah.
How are they both in the same category?
Well, it's not that they're not that they're in the same category. It's that the fact that you need them. It's like you can't bake a bread without flour and yeast, right? I don't know much about baking, but I would assume you need something to rise it, and you need the flour for the right. So like
Okay.
you can't get bread without those things,
Okay.
right? So it's the same thing with love and loyalty. You can't have love without loyalty.
And that's the part,
I know you struggle with,
because
but
I'm
it's okay.
like,
No, but I
I
get what
still-
MVP is saying, because this is where we run into the situation of how complicated love is and how complicated the human experience is. Because in the scenario that MVP presented, if you cheat on someone, that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't love them, but
But you-
there is definitely in that situation a lack of loyalty. So,
Yes.
with that being said, unfortunately, nuance does exist. And that's kind of, you know, how you hear love is complicated and all of that stuff. That's one of those things because, yeah, in that situation, you're lacking loyalty in that specific regard, but it does not mean you don't love that person. There's a lack of sensitivity in the moment. There's a lack of loyalty in the moment, but you claim to love them and you still committed this act. So that's one of those things that unfortunately is a part of the complication, the human experience, and I personally have no way of explaining myself out of that. It just kind of is what it is with that particular type of scenario.
And so when posed with the question, what is more important, love or loyalty? It has me thinking why people who have been cheated on are still in that relationship. And in conclusion, I would think that love is more important to them than loyalty. And that's why
The person who stays?
the person who stays. Because it's like, hey, if loyalty was more important, I think they would leave.
So I'll let Styles
Mm.
answer, but
Well,
I view
go
it
ahead.
differently.
Okay.
I'd say that you know what, I think to Aaron's point, the nuance of this thing is very complicated for sure, because you do see people staying in relationships where they have been cheated on numerous times and probably continue to be cheated on. And I think I think loyalty is not even a question at that point, clearly. But I think it's then become overclouded with the idea of love or the potential of this person doing better by you. And it's also rooted in probably a self-worth issue. So we're straying.
You kind of went deep on that.
Yeah, we're straying a little bit
Like,
off of
that's
that.
like
but-
hold back the
complication.
haymakers,
Yeah.
man. Hold back the
yeah,
haymakers.
it's a complicated. That's why I said, like at the beginning, I said this was going to be a complicated conversation, because we're literally, picking out two things that are a part of this whole cake,
Yeah.
right? Like I like to use the cake analogy, because even in the cake analogy, you still need freaking flour, right? Like you need these things, but then at some point you could put the wrong ingredient in, and now you're eating shit, right? Like it's just
Mud cakes.
you literally you're eating something that doesn't taste good.
Right.
So
Okay.
so go ahead.
So Aaron, what you got for us?
No, I was gonna go kind of in that direction as well, because someone who is cheated on and then stays in the relationship, yeah, there may be love there, but then we start getting into different aspects, just like Styles pointed out, because there is self-esteem issues, there are traumas, there are codependencies. There's a lot of different reasons why the person may choose to stay. For instance, some people might stay because of a financial situation. I can't afford to leave. Some people might have just an emotional dependency on this other person. I don't think I can make it without them. There are people who have self esteem issues. I don't know if I'll find anyone else. So there are all these different reasons that that person ends up staying. And I don't necessarily think in that scenario, this person says, I love you more than anything else. The loyalty is not important to me, so I'm going to choose to stay. Anyone who's probably been with someone that has cheated on them, there are people who are going to say, yeah, because I love you, I'm going to try to work through this. But that person working through it does expect, despite the fact that you may have broken your loyalty in this one instance, I'm not expecting you to continue to be disloyal to me. I'm expecting you to repair it. I'm thinking to myself, you've made a mistake and I need you to correct that mistake and get back to where you were in terms of your loyalty. Because for me, that loyalty is a reflection of the love you have. So I don't know if I could say that person is saying, hey, loyalty is not that important to me. I really love you, so I'm going to stick around. There's a lot of different reasons why that person may choose to stay. And I don't necessarily know that they've abandoned the idea of their loyalty being a requirement of that particular relationship.
So, my perspective of what I'm hearing is that love trumps it all. Love trumps it all. Like, if the love is there, we can work out the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, without, for me, without love there is no loyalty. So I would assume in saying something like that, l- love is probably the first layer, but with love comes loyalty, because I don't know of anything that I love that I'm not loyal to. And
Or is it
I don't know of anything that I'm loyal to that I don't love.
or is it the other way around where if we're thinking of the cake, the love is the bottom part that you build the loyalty on?
All right.
First
So,
comes the love for me. Before the loyalty comes the love.
So yeah, we're getting to semantics, but continue.
all right. So I don't know if y'all can see my face, but it's scrunched up
Uh-oh.
because I'm trying to, and I didn't realize we was gonna get to this point, but now hearing what everyone is talking about, I'm really trying to understand how I feel about things, right? So let's have this therapy session real quick.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, as I'm hearing what Aaron is talking about specifically, which is kind of what you're talking about too, but just now what Aaron was saying, I'm like, I think about some of my homegirls, right? At the beginning stages, I don't know if there was love there. And that's what's kind of throwing me off. Is like the idea that this person loves me. I feel like that's super strong. I feel like love is super strong. And I'm like, I don't know if we necessarily, like, we would hang out and stuff like that. But I'm like, I don't know if there was love there.
But then I think that's why it's such a complicated thing. If you look at love, there's like, even in love, there's segments of love, right?
Okay.
Because I could love hanging out with somebody and not be in love with them. And so
Right.
once you start thinking about love, you have to be able to segment those things, because that's where it gets very convoluted. I've been friends with people, and people that are opposite sex, and there could be potential, and I loved hanging out with them. I would say, yeah, I love them, but I'm not in love with them. And so,
But even with, let's take the in love out of it, right?
okay.
You know what? Forget it. Let's talk about guys. I don't know if some of the guys I've been banging with, I'm like, I love them.
But then
You
that
know what I'm saying?
that,
Like we don't have to even say like women friends. We can say guy friends. I'm like, yo, I think love is a strong word.
but I think that we also have this is weird machismo thing when it comes to love,
Okay.
that guys are told, because we've been programmed for a long time not to have emotions and stuff, that you don't necessarily have to say. It's like, when I interact with certain people, all right, man, love you, bro. That
Hold on. that was going to be my question. So, Aaron, Styles, do you tell your bros you love
No,
Not really. No.
but that doesn't mean I don't have love for them.
Agreed.
There's a lot of things that I feel that I don't necessarily feel the need to speak on.
them? Okay.
Because and that was kind of where I wanted to go with what you were mentioning, because you're saying that, you know, love is a strong word. I still do believe that there are varying degrees of love. The love you feel for a pet, the love you feel for friends, the love you feel for your parents, the love you feel for your family. It's all varying degrees. So if you are loyal to those people, but you don't quote unquote love them, what exactly, how do you define that loyalty towards those people? And what is the basis for that loyalty towards those people?
Good question.
Yo, Aaron is cooking. Aaron is cooking. So the basis of the loyalty is where I went back to like the whole doing right by me. The more you do right by me, the more loyalty I give you. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm giving you love. It's just that, hey, in situations where things might get tested, because of the loyalty and like how we've been interacting, I might get a little like yo, stop talking about my man's like that.
So
Like-
like
like-
in a situation where there's conflict, basically.
In a situation where I think loyalty is really tested in conflict.
100%.
Okay.
Okay.
I like
Okay.
that. So now
Okay.
in conflict with someone, your boy that you're loyal to, you're going to step up and you're going to defend that person, right?
Right.
And earlier you said that you
I
define
know he's
love
doing
as
it.
sacrifice. Is that also correct?
God damn it.
Yep.
I
saw
don't
it.
know. I feel like
So-
he's leading me somewhere, but
Well,
all right, yes, I
if
did
you're
say that.
going to sacrifice your safety, you're going to sacrifice your ability to potentially go home. I would have to assume you got some kind of love for that person, because I'll tell you right now, if I have no love for you and I see that we're in a situation where you might potentially get wrapped up and my safety is also going to come into question, you're on your own. You're on your own. Like if it's a stranger,
Mhm.
I might call the police, but if it looks like you are going to get wrapped up or someone's got a gun to your head, I'm not stepping in front of that bullet, bro. I'm not doing it. Unless it's someone I love, I'm out. I'll call the cops. I'm out. And I hate to say that because it sounds insensitive, because, you know, we're supposed to, you know, protect our brothers and all of that. But a random person on the street, I love my family more. I'm going to look out for my own safety. I am not sacrificing my ability to come home to my family just because of this scenario out here. But my boy is about to get himself beat up. He's got a family too. I got love for him. I'm sure he wants to go home to his family. I might be sacrificing my own safety for him, and that's out of love.
And we have a liftoff. I don't.
No,
I'm
I'm waiting for you to say
No,
something
no,
because I have my rebuttal.
Go ahead.
So my thing is, and this is how I like tie it in, right? Because I do agree with y'all with the whole there's levels to it, right? So when I say, hey, I got your back in this certain situation, that doesn't mean I'm going to take a bullet for you. Let's be clear, right? Because there has to be more love for the bullet taking situation.
More love.
More love. Like, yo, I really have to like look like, and that's why I'm trying to say to y'all, like, there's a difference in my mind, which y'all got me swaying a little bit. You know, the wacky willy waveable. Y'all got me out here looking
like
crazy.
you out here selling cars.
Yeah, out here selling cars. But I do believe that there is a level too of like, if I love you, there's gonna be more sacrifice. But the
I
loyalty
agree.
is just from a standard of like, hey, and we can stay on the line of protecting and like you know, I think it's hard. I think the conversation with women when women are involved is a little bit more.
Yeah, it's complicated. when
It's a
we go
little bit
there.
more
So, yeah.
complicated. But like guys, bro, the bros, and I'm like, I can be loyal to a bro, without having love for like. But Aaron got me thinking a little bit. Like maybe I do have love for this person more
Well,
than I thought.
Well, I give
And
you
remember, I said there's varying degrees.
degrees,
The
yes.
love
Yeah.
that you have for your family is not the love you have for your boys. You're not going to do the same things for Styles that you would do for your dad.
Yeah.
Because there is clearly a difference in terms of the love you have for your father versus the love you have for your homie. And that's going to lead to varying degrees of sacrifice.
And I wanted to ground it in an experience that we had. There was a time we went out somewhere and, you know, things started developing and I stepped in a way where like could have gone a whole nother place.
That's
and,
loyalty.
but that's also just making sure that you're good. So like that is also love. Because
I want
honestly,
you to get home.
we went to the extremes of the bullet, but we didn't find out that it could have gone a whole nother level that we didn't know. So like
Right.
somebody was telling me later on, is like, yeah, they were talking about bringing out the hammers and shit. And I was like, first of all, it was never that serious. I came over because I saw two people that I know getting into an argument about something that was not important. And I'm like, okay, cool.
It was not important.
I set up this whole thing. Let us figure out what's going on. And I said exactly when I got over there, I said, what is happening? What are y'all doing right now? And I am still close with both of y'all.
Mhm.
Right. And the
Yeah.
thing about it is it didn't get to the point where it could have gotten worse because I stepped in. If I was selfish, I'm like, that's not my problem.
and that part right there is a disloyal. Like, because, and that's what I'm trying to say. Like, because if it was vice
Or-
versa, I would feel the same. Like, yo, we need to squash whatever this issue is because this is not why we're here.
Or do I have love for both of y'all?
Do you have love for that person?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would consider that person my friend.
I guess my issue, which is fine that
Okay.
you feel that way. I guess my issue is the way I use, and this is why I appreciate y'all saying that there's different degrees of love. Because you know how Aaron was saying, like, hey, he hasn't experienced love in whatever situations you were talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Me, I'm one of those type of people where, like, love, if I'm gonna give that to you, it has to be earned. Just because you my friend don't mean I love you. It has, like, I had, like, love,
Agreed.
like, yo, when see how
Yeah.
serious I'm getting. When MVP says I love you, it's more than just, I know there's different variations, but when I say I love you, it's at the top for me. Cause I'm a Scorpio, bro. I don't just love just to be, like, even with friends, like my bros, those are my bros. It ain't like, I don't even give you I'm so selective with it. I don't even say best friends. Because I think I've been best friends with people and I didn't feel like they were my best friend. And I'm like, yo, why am I using best friend for someone who I feel like isn't my best friend? So I'm like, yo, I want to be very selective when I use words like love. I use close friends. I use associates. Like because it muddles and convolutes the way I'm going to interact with you. If I say you're my friend, but the way you be treating me is more like associate, I need to make sure that when we're in situations, I know if this person is my friend or my associate, because the way I move is going to be different.
But then I think we're conflating a lot of things here.
Okay.
Because as like I think of all the different experiences I've had with actually both of y'all. And I remember somebody was doing, like, when we were in Miami, with me and Aaron were in Miami, and someone had like pulled up a scooter on the rental or some ridiculousness. And I popped out, like I hopped out. I'm like, yo, whatever, like what's the deal? Now, I'm not looking back to see like, where's Aaron? We're gonna go jump this guy. It doesn't mean that Aaron wasn't there. If something had happened to me, I'm pretty sure he would have jumped out, but he didn't need to jump out. We don't all got to do the same things. And I've been in that situation multiple times, but it doesn't change the level of our friendship or the love or loyalty that I have for this person. Now, if it was flipped, and the same thing, like if he had hopped out and started talking to the dude, and the dude started raising up. All right, cool. You know, you throw the Bobby Smurder hat in the air, and we're off to the docks, bro. You know, we knocking things out. But my thing is, we need to be very clear with our friends, and then clear with our acquaintances, as you said, because it's like I have a ton of work friends that I don't consider my friends. They were work friends. We worked together. We had a shared experience, probably shared some traumas because of the job.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that they're my friends.
That mean I love you.
And it doesn't mean I love you.
I'm loyal to you.
Correct. But at the same time, if we're out somewhere and I see something happening that I could prevent, I'm still going to prevent it. That's just because of how I am. Like I literally, it's funny because I remember multiple times being around people, nothing happens. And the one time I don't hang out with them, everybody got into a fight. And I'm like, why does this never happen when I'm around? But the truth is, I'm always on that type of time. And my goal is like, all right, well, if something's happening, it got to be real. Because when it's real, it's real.
So is that a sense of duty?
That's not duty.
That's not duty.
No.
Okay.
That is literally, I feel like that is bordering on the line of love and loyalty. Like it's just in my mind. Because like there's a lot of people that like, even just when I'm around people, I don't necessarily want to be on no type of like time, right? Like I do everything in my power to diffuse stuff because when it does ignite, I'm all in. You know, I'm all in. So I'm like, I want to make sure everybody's safe. Want to make sure we're not having any problems. And as long as I do that, I feel good about myself. And I feel like I don't have to worry about it. So
you can sleep at night.
I can sleep at night.
Yeah, I like. Anyway,
so that's what I'm saying. Like it doesn't mean that just because you are acquaintances with this person, that when you do things within your nature that may be protective, that now you have loyalty to them. It doesn't, none of that stuff, right? Like I think it's just being who you are in that space and being authentically yourself. And I think the loyalty part really goes when you're like, okay, going back to the that's why I think it's hard to separate them. You go back to the sacrifice, because if you're a very timid, chill person and you see a fight breaking out and it's with your friends and you don't like, you feel this requirement to jump in, but it's against your nature. You know what I'm saying? Like that creates a whole nother conversation there. Yeah. And I know we're using violence as a lot of the explanation for some of these things, but
yeah, we said conflict, but that's so conflict, you know.
I think it's the easiest way, because obviously there's multiple layers, and we just don't have enough time to just go through all the layers.
Yeah.
But I think the easiest way for people to start having the thought process, conflict. Yeah. Because like they even say, hey, you're not in a real relationship until you have conflict with your partner.
Yeah.
Because everything's roses and rainbows and leprechauns until y'all have conflict, and then you get to see
what to expect.
Where you stand at.
Conflict is the rock in the road to make you decide once we go one way or the other. So it's easier to have these conversations under the guise of conflict, because it is like your loyalty is being tested because of that conflict.
There you go. Or your love.
Or your love.
Yeah, exactly. He used the word that I was looking for, test, because no matter what in this world we're talking about, what exactly is testing the realities of what you say you are, you know? You don't get your loyalty tested until something puts it to the test. You don't 100%. Get your love tested, blah, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I 100%. I mean, we're gonna need a part 2 for this.
Yeah.
Because I actually would like to do. Actually, maybe we do some video, asks type stuff. And start seeing what, like, polling people and then getting back to people, because
exactly,
I think that what it is that those 2 words mean so much to people that they never stop and say, hey, well, what does this mean? Or is there a separation between the 2? And that's where we're starting to like slightly uncover that, very deep issue that people have with these words. And I love it. I love this conversation. So
no, it's a good one that definitely could do a part 2, because when you think about it, and it's something that you shied away from, but there is another aspect of love where it's not the love you have for your pet, not the love you have for a parent, but that deeper, more intense, um romantic
Yeah.
feeling of being in love
Yeah.
versus something that you love, which is something that you care for or you enjoy very much. That's very much different from something that is or someone, I should say, that you're in love with. Like, you can't I would hope you can't be, but you can't be in love with a pet, but you could be in love with your romantic partner, and I would hope you're not in love with your friends, but you love your friends, so it's completely different.
Yeah, this is definitely a part two in the works. Because I really feel like we just scratched the surface. I don't think we even touched half
It's
the
such a
stuff in this
complicated one.
in the books. But
Yeah.
um yeah, I mean, this has been a great episode again. Shout out to everybody that made it this far. As I said in the last time, you are officially a part of the in crowd. And we appreciate you. Definitely drop any comments or thoughts you have on this. Are we completely off base on this? Are we just, conflating the issue? Are we,
Yeah.
like, please let us know. We're definitely gonna try to get some more people involved in this conversation when we do it again. So it's gonna be very interesting. So I say all that in conclusion. Thank you. You have a lot of places you can spend your time. The fact that you spent your time here listening to us, wax eloquently or flop around on the deck like fish. Either way, we appreciate you and thank you very much. So it's been Juxtaposed. Peace.